Reporters Roundtable provides viewers with in-depth examination of issues reported on leading media outlets across the world. A lively panel of journalists with comprehensive knowledge in all fields of endeavor, be it politics, health, business, sports, entertainment, information, communication technology, gender, law, international affairs and diplomacy, and a host of others will objectively dissect the matter of contention. On Reporters Roundtable, fairness, objectivity, factuality, and non-partisanship is our hallmark. It's the Double RT show with Rebecca Ewa. This and every other Thursday from 10 to 12 GMT. Make a date with us. The Reporters Roundtable, all angles, all sides. Hello and welcome to another edition of the Reporters Roundtable. Today I'm so happy. There's one song that is ringing in my ears. It's a Presbyterian hymn. It says, "Den amen fami yuaye, to me rather sibre." The second stanza says, "Onyami nenia na asay." Indeed, when the Lord takes off his eyes from you, nothing will go on well for you. I'm glad that you are alive to watch us today, and I'm also glad to be alive. Whatever you are doing, never give up. Make sure you impact your generation positively. My name is Rebecca Ewa. Today, we will take you to the Tema West constituency. It is one of the constituencies that is said to be the stronghold for the ruling NPP. But we will find out whether the NDC in this year's election can make an impact in that constituency. It is a place where it is between two major contenders. We have lawyer James Enu and Carlos Ahinkra. Let's watch this video as to what they have to offer to the people of the Tema West constituency. Welcome to Tema, a city on the Gulf of Guinea and Atlantic coast of Ghana and on the Greenwich Meridian. With a population of approximately 161,612, a marked decrease from its 2005 figure of 209,000, Tema is ranked the 11th most populous settlement in Ghana. Tema is locally nicknamed the Harbour Town because of its status as Ghana's largest seaport.
It is predominantly dominated by the elite and middle class. Although a Ga town, it has become cosmopolitan after the construction of the harbour in 1961 by Ghana's first president, Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. It is now a major trading centre, home to an oil refinery and numerous factories, and is linked to Accra by a highway and railway. Tema metropolitan area forms part of the 16 metropolitan municipalities and districts in the Greater Accra region. The Tema metropolitan area shares boundaries with the Ashaman and Adenta municipal and Lejokuku Krowa municipal areas to the west, with Bonkatamanso to the east, Dangbe West District to the north, and to the south with the Gulf of Guinea. Today on Constituency Profile, we throw the spotlight on the Tema West constituency. This constituency is made up of communities 2, 18, 19, 20, Sakumono Estate, Lashibi, parts of Spentus, Ajekojo, Klagong, among others.
Tema West is one of the constituencies represented in Ghana's parliament, and it is within the Greater Accra region. Tema West finds itself in one of Ghana's industrial enclaves, and it has a voter population of about 80,000. The contest for this year's parliamentary seat, as far as the election 2016 is concerned, is between MPP's Carlos Ahinkra and NDC's lawyer James Eno. Currently, the seat is being held by MPP's Irene Natoshi, who lost the primaries to Carlos Ahinkra. But it's all well with this constituency. We find out what the candidates have for the electorate and what the electorates are expecting from their candidates.
Number one, you have street lights. You street pillars was lighting. You do another high soon. Now, so ponko. Your market centers and so ye. In Kurane, Mwagates Munina, boom. There's a water now, Kraton, dear Green. Near Tosso means you can find your man about. You disclaim about a duty. I will port. You need any more. I didn't know man buy and you trace a cacassini is a and ash, but on no man baby knows a and ash. And your man should be good. Yan Tombo, Yan Tonin, TMB, Beba Beje, tax the Baba Beje, Ubi about no Baba Jenny de Noco. Near Tia, Yan Twadians, Ubian so many miska, into some more bad dear. Almost some baby ye. Area how baby ye ye hanging on my got test street lights and ye friends say market centers in my containers is a door so crowd. I might find for near told my dear yen stores on yen stores so yam a toy idea. Yes, it was easy while. Yes, here to tum. To some more bad dear.
The New Patriotic Party NPP has held a seat here since 2000.
Tema West constituency. Sebani say any of your parliamentary candidates will win seats on December 7th. Then I'm going to say Obeyama.
You better find say being a light away area. Area had assumed the map from higher drain pa. Bibi at the betu will be an when you are yes up open up from four no or medical. I comfort empty or higher drain combat empty. And almost half for course was almost 2 years so and that's wrong. Yamen one at the moment in the amfa. The bench bomb my days and Obama street light. And I feel so as a kiosk no doors will quan hunting. I may away inside honey and toy idea. Will be a do one no packing no to be no co. You see, your mum near to tax more. Tax ne sika bia TMA 4 budget. Income tax 4 budget. Your mum to your more chain or more kiosk. Think a best as omit me who be my can also get a boy.
In light of this, the team engaged the two major contenders for the parliamentary seat. Lawyer James Eno is contesting on the ticket of the ruling New Democratic Congress (NDC) and Carlos Ahinkra on the ticket of the NPP.
Why should someone wake up early December 7th and decide on voting for Carlos Ahinkra?
Well, Thank you very much. I think that people in Tema West know who Carlos Ahempra is. I have lived, I would say, virtually all my life in this community. I have worked all my life in this area. And today, being a businessman as I am, my business is set up here in Tema West. I employ, I would say, all or majority of my staff from this area. There's 100 and over staff, both permanent and casual. So it tells a story that the people here already know me. They know what I'm capable of doing. They know what I can provide when it comes to hope. And I represent that hope to the people around here. If I walk down the streets and I see how people clamor to just come around me, it tells me that the people are looking for somebody to come and save them. And for me, I think that I am the one that they are looking for. Coming into this race or coming to stand as an MP, it wasn't an easy decision for me. But if I tell you the number of people who came to me to as it were convince me to, decide to come and stand as a member of parliament, it tells you that these guys are prepared to carry you along. And the reason why anybody will wake up at dawn and go and vote for Carlos is they have hope in Carlos.
What would you say would be that distinct factor or that distinguishing feature between you and your opponent?
Well, you see, as it is right now, I am an employer. I employ over 100 people, casual and permanent. Majority, like I said, and all of the people who live in this area, from Committee 2, Committee 3, Committee 5, Ajay Kuju, and so on and so forth. I have worked in the port since 1979. I started as a shoe shine boy, a little shoe shine boy. I rose through the ranks of being a gang member, throwing malt and arranging sugar in the shed. I became a tally clerk at a point and even did my national service at Kapua. When I completed university, I decided to set my company in the port and of course become a freight forwarder. All this was done in the eyes of people. They saw my humble beginnings and they've seen where I've gotten to. And when I got to this stage, I didn't shun them. I didn't decide to, as it were, demarcate or put a line between me and these people. And that is what I represent to them. I have been a very humble servant when it comes to dealing with people here. Even when I wasn't an MP, or even though I haven't been an MP yet, the kind of things that I do for the people, the kind of assistance that they come to me for, it surpasses anybody that is in an MP position. So the difference between me and my immediate contender, which is the NDC, is that he's young. He's now starting life. Yes, maybe he was born around the constituency, but I was living here in this particular area before he was born. So therefore, it doesn't make him any bona fide person here than myself. I represent hope for the people. I give people jobs. I have given people jobs. Now don't forget that if I even have 100 people as workers, the 100 people will have to look after, let's say, assuming they even look after 10 people each from the salary that I pay them. I have a network of over 1,000 people who rely on me for survival. That alone should tell you that this man is somebody you can't toil with.
The MPP's main agenda for election 2016, now that your manifesto is not out, is the One Factory, One District project that we've heard throughout. Tema is an industrial enclave. How relevant will this sit in for you, especially in this constituency?
I'll tell you something. You see, by virtue of the fact that Tema is an industrial hub, or is the industrial hub of Ghana, there's a lot of migration into this town. Many people have moved from their villages, from their towns to come here in search of jobs. And for that matter, it has made the town overpopulated. When it comes to employment, we are underemployed. A lot of things are happening here, which through no fault of these employable hands. which one can do something about. And now those one district, one factory is a very simple concept. And for me, anybody that claims that it cannot be done is probably not, let me borrow the word, I'm not insulted, thinking straight. Why do I say this? For a country to grow or develop industry-wise or to industrialize, the only thing they need to do first and foremost is to create a level economic playing field for industry players to come in. For example, you cannot expect people to come in here and set up factories when your utility services like electricity are not constant, or it is not reliable for that matter. You cannot come and set up a company here when your labor force is a worry to employers. In today's world, factories or big companies are not prepared to go worldwide building factories everywhere. What they do is they look at the economic situation or economic background of a country. When they find it appropriate, what they do is that they put up big buildings, big factories, manufacture big numbers, and now do distribution. So in today's world, you have distribution and logistics being the bane of economic sustenance more than putting factories here and there. Now, it is not possible to, let's say, for example, get the Nikes and the Reeboks to come and set up here. They would rather go to Sri Lanka or they will go to Bangladesh, put a big factory there, they manufacture, bring it to the countries and start distributing them. Enter Ghana. Ghana has a lot of potential when it comes to setting up factories. Every district that you go to has a peculiar crop type that they produce there. For example, if you go to the village where I come from, a lot of oranges are grown there. As I speak to you today, in Asante, there's a company called Pinora. It belongs to Australians. They've come deep in the heart of the farm. They've built a juice extracting plant, and they are exporting orange juice just like it's nobody's business. If these companies should have sustainable electricity provision, or they should have a reduced labor cost, or they should have a better economic environment, they stand a better chance of improving their production or increasing productivity better than anything else. That is what Addo is talking about. We are going to create that level field for people to rather move from outside and come and set their factories here. And we might not necessarily even have to build the factories ourselves for government to own them, like they have done at Commander. If Commander is costing $35 million, let us find out how much the schools are costing. Now, NDC is saying we cannot do those factories. As you sit here, I'm sure you are aware that NDC is trying to put out, has said that they are putting up 200 community day schools. Do we know how much a school is costing? Is it close to $35 million? If that were so, then I can tell you that NDC is looking at putting one school, one district, because we have 216 districts in Ghana. And if you are putting 200, let's say all the 10 regional capitals are out, and about 6 district capitals would also be taken away. So therefore, one district, one school. Today they have done only 4. That is the reason why they are saying that we cannot do it. But I want to tell them, the difference between ours and theirs is whilst they are going to borrow money to build the schools, we are going to create a level economic field for investors to come and set the companies. Just imagine in my village, they're putting up a pineapple extracting plant there. In Akumadan, tomato company there. In where? Just mention them. Anywhere that you go, you will find something there that we can set. A company doesn't have to be like cocoa processing to call it a company. Elsewhere, where you see all these people hitting hammers and stuff, it's a factory. They manufacture things. As to whether their productivity is to the level that we expect, that's a different matter. But the fact of the matter is, once he has set up that enclave as a factory and it churns out a certain product, it's a factory. And that's what we are looking at. If we create a level playing field, the people of Ghana who are taking their monies out or putting them in ventures which is not paying so well would pool that money go to the villages or go to their districts and do the factories.
Presently, we are situated in the home of lawyer James Eno, who is the parliamentary candidate for the ruling NDC. And we would want to tease out from him, why should somebody wake up on December 7th and want to decide to vote for him? Welcome to GBC24.
Thank you very much. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Number one, I believe that I have the competence to be able to lead the people of Tema in Parliament. Of course, I'm a legal practitioner. I've practiced law for the past 12 years. And you will appreciate that if you look at the history of Tema West, you realize that Tema West is in love with lawyers. We had lawyer Addo, who was there for 12 years. Lawyer Natoshi came, who was there for 8 years. So together we had 20 years of lawyers. Now we are saying that the tradition still goes on, and lawyer James Eno is the next person in line. I believe that the lawyers who spearheaded the constituency made a mark in Parliament because of their legal background, and I think that the tradition is going to continue. I come on board with the competence and the capability to be able to lead the people of Tema, and I think that when it comes to competence, I stand very tall compared to my other candidates. So that is one criteria that I think stands me out so much, because you see, the work of a parliamentarian has a lot to do with law. Now you appreciate that there are a lot of parliamentarians who are trying to seek legal education, because, you know, if you have the law background, you are in a better position to appreciate a lot of the intricacies that goes on as far as lawmaking in the House is concerned. And therefore, a lot of them are seeking legal education. But Tema West is fortunate. They already have a lawyer, you know, who is going to stand for them. So I think that is a mark that people will look at. Now, apart from that, I believe that I also have the experience. If you compare me to the other candidates, all of them are novice, are political novice. This is their first time in the political, you know, terrain. But I have contested before. In 2012, I contested as the candidate for Tema West, Tema Central, sorry, and now I'm contesting as the candidate for Tema West. So I come on board with some form of experience, having contested primaries in 2011 with no other person than Honorable Fusuampofu, and which was quite a heated race at the time, having contested as the candidate for Tema Central in 2012 and having won our recent primaries. I think that I come on board with so much experience that cannot be compared to with all the other candidates. So that also stands me out as a candidate. Apart from that, I think that the people of Tema too are looking for somebody who is an indigenous local boy, you know, who can identify with them, who can associate with them. And that is also a mark that I bring on board. I was born in Tema, indeed, born and bred. My umbilical cord was cut in Tema. You know, I've lived in Tema all my life, done my education here. I've been a teacher here before. My practice as a lawyer has all dominated in Tema. So you appreciate that if we are talking about a true son of Tema, somebody who was actually born, you know, in Tema, who is a local boy, then I stand tall in that area as well. And coming on board with such background, I think that I have the people of Tema at heart. And some of us are coming on board to render our services. We have come on board to serve. It is because we want to serve the people. That is why we have decided to come into this race. And I think that is also going to go a long way to inform the electorate to vote for me. Now, you also appreciate that the president has done a lot of work nationwide in terms of infrastructural developments and other projects, and Tema has had its fair share of the national cake as far as development projects are concerned, you know. So the ground is prepared, the stage has been set for lawyer James Eno to win the seat, because if you come to Tema, there are a lot of projects that we have also benefited from as a constituency, and I think that this is also going to inform the electorate to vote for NDC, for that matter, lawyer James Eno. Recently, the president came to Tema to inspect the International Maritime Hospital, which is right here in Committee 3, where we are now. And indeed, if you get to the premises of that hospital, it's so stunning, and you'll be surprised that you are still in Ghana. You can see such a facility, you know. I had the opportunity to be there myself. And this is something that was spearheaded by, of course, the NDC government. This is going to bring a lot of opportunities, jobs, for the youth within the constituency and all that. And I believe that this is going to go a long way to inform, the people of Tema to vote for His Excellency, President John Dramani Mahama and lawyer James Enu. Now, Tema is an industrial city, for that matter. So one thing that you have to be looking out for are issues of employment. And indeed, we have done a lot in the area of employment. As I speak to you now, there are still recruitment ongoing. And indeed, I have a job center that facilitates people to be processed for those youth employment opportunities. So as I speak to you now, there is youth in hairdressing, there is youth in garment making, there is youth in plumbing, and several models that is currently ongoing. And most of the youth are taking opportunity of it and getting recruited to get some job to do, be able to make ends meet. And I think that, this government has done a lot in the area of employment. Of course, employment is one thing that you cannot completely, issues of unemployment is something you cannot completely eradicate. But I think that we have done a lot to minimize the situation.
What will be your rebuttal to an opponent or to an electorate who puts out the question that lawyer Enu is very young when it comes to age-wise and experience-wise on the job, and therefore we demand somebody who has vast experience, let's say in politics, who age-wise we know is there, or who has had a lot of employment experience, to bring all that to bear on the ground for us to, what would be your rebuttal to that?
I'm not a small boy. And when it comes to experience, I have my own law firm. This law firm has been running for the past 12 years. I'm the managing partner of the law firm. I have about 4 lawyers who are working for me together with other non-legal staff. And I think that a lawyer who has practiced for 12 years, I think I have a lot of experience. And indeed, yes, I qualify as a High Court judge. Indeed, I have my classmates who are, some of them are MPs, some of them are ministers. If you may, it may interest you to know that the Minister for Tourism is my classmate. We passed out from law school the same day. You understand? The Deputy Minister for Interior is my classmate. We passed out. So I think that when it comes to experience, I even have experience more than, especially when you are talking about the political terrain, because I have contested national elections before. None of the other candidates have ever contested national elections. So I think that I have a lot of experience, and that is bearing a lot even in our campaigns. You will appreciate that because of my experience, I'm able to bring the constituency together, especially the NDC as a party. I have the capacity to bring them together. But look at what is happening even at the MPP front and all that. I attribute that to lack of experience on the part of the candidates, you understand? So when it comes to experience, I think I stand very tall than all the other candidates.
You have made mention of the achievements of your presidential candidates for this year's election. Transforming Ghana. That agenda, how does it set in your agenda for your constituents in this constituency, Tema West? How does it sit in? Because we know Tema to be an industrial enclave. How would it be of any help at all?
Yeah, of course. It is true, this ideology of transforming Ghana, that we are arguing that a lot of job opportunities has been created. Now, one of the things that we want to do for Tema West in particular is to make sure that we lobby for jobs for people within the constituency. We believe that we live in an industrial city, and therefore the institutions, the companies, the industries that are located within the constituency must have some sort of corporate social responsibility towards the inhabitants of Tema. And therefore we believe that we should be able to lobby for some quotas as far as employment opportunities are concerned for the residents of Tema, because indeed the residents of Tema also suffer a lot of defects from some of these companies. Sometimes some of the fumes that are emitted even into the air, sometimes, especially when you look at this harbor, you see heavy trucks carrying cargo across our streets here and there, damaging the roads and sometimes making the road so risky for us. So some of the things that these companies can do for us is to also compensate us by giving us a certain opportunity, in their establishment, so that it will be some form of what we call local content, let me put it that way, so that at least it will compensate for some of the hazards or the risk that we also stand as inhabitants of Tema. So these are some of the things that we are lobbying for to make sure that people of Tema benefit from these opportunities.
Great.
That is it. You've heard from the NPP and NDC parliamentary representatives in the Tema West constituency. For the electorate in their catchment area, we urge you to further engage with your leaders, interrogate their policies in order to make informed decisions.
Right, so there you have it. Lawyer James Eno and Carlos Ahinkra. Lawyer is on the ticket of the NDC and Carlos on the ticket of the NPP. I hope they've convinced you, but I don't know for my panelists. Today, we'll be discussing whether the 2016 election is a do or die affair. Obviously, we will tie in what we just saw. But to the main political actors, it seems like a do-or-die affair. But to civil society groups, it is how best one can package and sell their party's ideology. It is the parties or whether the parties are winning irrespective of the manner of tools. And let's say for the supporters, all they know is that they just have to win the election. Their candidates have to win, irrespective of the manner of tools kept in the tools box. And these are but some of the few characteristics of the Ghanaian political landscape. But as we inch into the December poll, some political pundits have predicted a fierce contest between the ruling NDC and the opposition NDC, due in part to the fact that this will be the third time the NPP's flag bearer, Dankwa Akufo, who's already lost twice to the NDC, will be contesting. This goes to say that he will perhaps not be able or be given another opportunity to lead the party should he lose once more. Knowing this fact means the party, and for that matter, the flag bearer and his team, must work extremely hard to win and at least taste political power. To the NDC flag bearer John Dramani Mahama, who doubles as the incumbent president, all his predecessors had a second term, hence canvassing for votes to be given another chance even after the NDC has spent 8 years in power. But is the president's plea automatic? A defeat for the NDC will certainly go without mention that the president failed to meet his party's Better Ghana agenda promises to the Ghanaian populace, hence been shown the exit. A number of stakeholders, including the chairman of the Peace Council, Right Reverend Professor Asante, has also indicated that the winner-takes-all system of politics in Ghana is a key factor of conflicts, urging politicians to shun the practice to adopt a power-sharing approach where every Ghanaian can contribute to the development of the nation. Laudable as this suggestion may be, politicians will refuse to incorporate people from other political divide for fear of sabotaging the government and the system. Some have also said that the winner-takes-all nature of Ghanaian political system is what makes elections in Africa, and for that matter, Ghana, acrimonious. Political actors therefore try to outsmart their opponents, thus making it a do-or-die affair. These are some of the dynamics characterizing the December polls, making it an interesting one indeed. As the country inches closer to December and as the campaign heats up, Are we as a country likely to see more of the verbal abuse and personality attacks rather than focusing on the core issues? And will it be a do or die affair for the parties, especially the NDC and the NPP? This is what we are discussing on the Reporters Roundtable. And with me to do the discussions are Gloria Anderson. She is a journalist here with Radio Ghana. I have Addo Sani. He is a journalist and also a security analyst. And I have my very own legal luminary in the person of Osebunsu Dixon. They will help us dissect the matter to the latter. If we have more time at our hands, we'll go to the phone lines to speak to a political analyst or with the University of Ghana, that is Dr. Evans Agridako. Welcome.
Thank you.
Gentlemen and lady. Right, let's start with what we saw. I want us to talk about it briefly, then we delve straight into our issue for discussion today. You heard Lawyer Eno, and you heard Carlos Ahinkra. Gloria, what's your assessment of the both?
I think that it's politics. We are in an election year. You need to say something to get the audience or the voters to vote for you. But Tema is a difficult place, very, very difficult place. We have issues with roads. Even though some of the roads are being constructed now, there is overpopulation in Tema. We have fields everywhere. And so for me, I think that those are the core issues the two should be looking at. And those are the issues that are the heart of the people. How can we deal with the filth in the area? If you take a place like, even though we didn't go there, Community 4, it's so overpopulated. In a house that should house, say, 4 people, it's now housing like 15 people. So you can just imagine the burden that lies on the pipes and everything that is in that area. So Tema is a difficult place. I just hope that they can get the people to listen to them and buy into what they are saying and then vote for them.
Lawyer Eno is basing his whole ideology on the fact that President Mahama has done enough as far as infrastructure developments are concerned, saying the Tema West constituency. Carlos is also saying that, you see, the NDC is saying that one district, one factory is not feasible and that we can do it. If the NDC is looking at building schools in every then it means that they are looking at one district, one school, but they've been able to do few. So looking at the promises they are giving, there are a whole lot of promises flying here and there. Constituencies such as Tema West, Eno, and Carlos. What do you have to say?
Well, that is the name of the game. I mean, politics. Is all about promises. And they say people promise to construct bridges even where there are no rivers. But that is what it should be about. It's about understanding, it's about debate, it's about testing the feasibility of some of these promises. Because I know, I mean, I don't really have a deep background in construction of factories, but I know a lot would have to be taken into consideration with the little economics I did when I was in school. You have to look at its availability to the markets, its availability to the raw materials that is supposed to be used to power the plants, of course, availability to power, and a whole lot. And all of this would have to be taken into consideration. But on the other hand, when we talk about industries, it shouldn't be seen as a Valco or one of those huge industries within the Tema enclave or on the Spintex Road. I mean, I'm sure you can even turn your room, your bedroom, into an industry by just putting some few things in place to produce. Even I know for a fact that so many people produce sachet water in their rooms. And it's all part of this industrial revolution we're talking about. But that notwithstanding, the issue of youth unemployment came up in the two submissions, and that is where I'm also very much interested, because we know in the 1960s, 1970s, Ghana and the Asian tigers, Singapore, Philippines, South Korea, were almost a par in terms of GDP and other economic indicators. But they have since become world superpowers, economic superpowers. And before he died, the founding father of Singapore, Lee Kuan, was asked what the secret is. I mean, is it magic? Is it voodoo? He said, yes, it's voodoo, it's magic, and that magic is investing in the resource, the human resource capacity or capability of the country. So we should look, fine, infrastructure matters, indeed it does, but it should go beyond that. It is important we develop the human resource base, especially the youth, who I must indicate constitutes majority of the human resource potential of every country. Unfortunately, they are also the most vulnerable to the social ills of today. So we have to take a closer look at some of the challenges facing the youth, develop them, not just put them mainstream employment like in the civil service, but equip them with the tools, equip them with the necessary skills so they will be able to do things for themselves.
All right. Lawyer Dixon.
Oh, okay. My basic comments will be about maybe structural needs that Tema actually has. I mean, she's mentioned a few of them, and he's also augmented it. I mean, you look at infrastructure, jobs, you look at education, health, and sanitation. I've been to Tema a couple of times as a lawyer, I mean, and as a Ghanaian, and these are some of the things that I observe. I observe also that from the interview that you had with Inu and the other gentleman, Carlos, yes. They were debating about the feasibility of projects and things like that. Well, I think we must remember that, like you said, we're in a political season where political marketing is the order of the day. And so, but a lot of some of the things that sometimes we call cannot be done, sometimes have been done. It can be done. I'm not too sure, rather, when he talks about an industry in your home. That one, I'm not too sure. Maybe a factory in your home, but the whole industry, that one, I
but you know, as a lawyer, there was one thing that came out from the interview that lawyer James Eno made mention of, that Tema West constituency in particular is an area for lawyers. And I wanted to find out from you, as a lawyer, do you necessarily have to be a lawyer to be able to be a politician or impact your society?
Okay, I don't think necessarily. I don't think it's a necessary factor. But I think that it is a huge, how do you call it, a support base to fall upon, if you are, because of the nature of, or the architecture of law itself. Law is so pervasive of our development. That is point number one. Apart from that too, the advocacy aspect of our law puts lawyers in a frontal capacity, an ability to deliver, and of course if they have the power of language and also have the power of ideas, I think that not being able to analyze things, having people skills, which is complementary with our work, makes them good. Now, do not forget that, I mean, these are people, you are entering into parliament, and you are going to be a lawmaker. And so those things that you study, for instance, in law school, to do with legal, I did, for instance, legal drafting. And so your appreciation about the ingredients or the elements that should enter into a good law sometimes are quite distinct as opposed to those. And our point is also that the things that we also, how do you call it, embed in our laws, our language and the thoughts and process of our people. Lawyers specialize particularly in their trade language. May, shall, might seem ordinary to people, but they have a certain
way of interpreting.
Yes, they have a certain fundamental cast when it comes to a lawyer and their own appreciation about these things, you understand? So it's a huge factor. That is the more reason why today you see that the most flourishing institutions that are turning out so many people are institutions that are presenting LLB programs, are presenting LLM programs, or law embedded programs. So it's no doubt there's a demand for law.
But President Mahama is not a lawyer.
President Mahama is not a lawyer, I would agree with you. And that is why he is supplemented by other people he has appointed in capacities that can advise him.
But at least you should have a fair knowledge of everything.
You are going to rule a country that is rule-based, the rule of law. And so I think that you can appreciate what I'm saying, that it's a good background. It is not necessary factor, but it's a very good background if you have it.
But the voters are not looking at that.
Okay, so you are in Tema. You are in Tema. So what are they looking out for?
You know, Becky, Tema is such
then
that
we'll wrap up on this one. Then
Okay.
it's NPP. Tema, if you bring, like they say, if you bring a sheep in NPP clothes, they will vote for the person.
Really?
It's a strong base for the NPP. I don't know why it's like that, but that's how it is. So,
And it means the NDC has to work hard.
Can I say
extremely.
something about that one?
Yeah, do.
You see, I think that you should maybe, if you look at maybe the electoral
setup.
mapping within this country, the more urbanized areas tend to have, he said, Tema has produced a lot of lawyers. We heard Inu say that.
Yeah.
too. Yes, the more urbanized areas tend to have a dominance of the MPP, I mean, how do you call it, slant. I mean, more urbanized areas that have a lot of educated people and all those ones. I'm not saying that it doesn't, but I'm saying that if you do even an electoral mapping to see what is happening, you will see that the NDC, for instance, performs a lot in the rural areas. It is a dynamic that can be discussed at another time. But in very urbanized areas, I'm not surprised that Tema being a very industrial place with a lot of people who are very highly educated. If you go there, you know what I'm talking about.
and Carlos is a youthful person. If you live in Tema, you know he moves with the youth. When they are doing anything, he's part of it. He has a fan club. Every Saturday they are cleaning the places, and so he's more familiar with the people and their needs. And that's what people want. Someone who they think
People oriented.
He knows what we are going through, and he understands the problems better.
Okay, so those were the thoughts of my panelists. You can also join us via text on 02444754422. Send me an email on reportersroundtable@gmail.com right here on the show. I'll be glad to read it. You can also send me a Facebook message. I'll read it. Go to our Facebook page, Reporters Roundtable. You would also find us. Right, 2016 election, is it a do or die affair? Let me start with you, Sunny. How do you gauge the political temperature?
Well, it's edgy. We are at a crossroad, and it's quite synonymous with every democratic dispensation that in an election year there will be tension. It is even more complex than in this part of our world, where we have a convolution of, like I always indicate, deep-rooted socio-economic and political factors or deficits that breed democratic challenges. Unlike the Western world, in countries such as Australia, where their biggest issue with the election is low voter turnout. As a matter of fact, it is even an illegality not to vote in order to encourage people to vote. But in Africa, it's a different story altogether, unfortunately. When you read about conflict authors such as Gould, Burton and Maslow, Marx and Weber, and even our very own Dr. Vladimir Intudansu, it all boils down to inequalities. It boils down to greed. It boils down to marginalization. But these are some of the factors we don't look out for. We limit violence to just electoral violence, but I must indicate, like I always say, that elections don't cause violence. They trigger violence, because human beings by nature are in a state of conflict. I mean, when you disagree with someone on any issue, you are in a state of conflict. But it is when you don't manage it well that it turns belligerent and perhaps loss of life and destruction of property. So all in all, I mean, not just African countries are looking up to us. The whole world, the Western world is looking up to us, because when you take a closer look at the democratic index, Ghana, Botswana, they are top in Africa, because we are countries that have been able to, without serious incidents, transfer power from one regime, one political party to another. We are in a country that the freedom of expression is so respected and jealously safeguarded. We are in a country that there's so much freedom, even though unfortunately sometimes it is abused amongst the media. I mean, people go on radio, they hit hard at any political party they feel like. And even if you take a closer look at, with your indulgence, I mean, the criminal code, we don't really have punitive like codes or articles in it criminalizing people who say the wrong thing, and that has the potential of perhaps inciting a group of people against another people. And I think
I'm not too sure what
you see,
but maybe but the point is that with the question
it
that
is
you are
not
asking
very clear cut.
is quite clear cut.
It's clear.
The question that you are asking is about the temperature of the current election. And maybe to address that issue, I think that, like he said, yes, in a political season, in fact, all over the world, with the exception of countries that are, for instance, very laid back about these activities, particularly in countries like Africa, where there's a lot to gain, a lot to lose, it tends to be tense.
Yeah.
And it will be tense for some time. So I think that, one, it will be polarizing. Two, I think that it is going to be partisan. Expect political attacks directed at personalities. And expect also fanfare and excitement along the way. So some of those ones. He's mentioned issues. He's mentioned issues about, how do you call it, inflammatory speech and all those, and that tend to incite. Incitation is a problem in this country. Yes, if the police were acting on reports that they get, and you've heard people, for instance, the Kennedy Japons and other people who have been reported to the police. Well, we don't know what has happened entirely about all these things, but there are enough laws in this country as we speak to deal with those circumstances. There are enough laws.
Because since the repeal of the criminal libel law, I think we've had some of these issues come up.
The point is that the criminal libel law had its own problems. I mean, it had its own vexing problems to do with, how do you call it, problems about criminally punishing persons for language unfavorably against political authority and things like that. I mean, if you want to look at the history of what's it called, the criminal libel, you might have to go back to sedition. Sedition, where you say something against a political authority and you have a problem, you know. But there's civil remedies for these things. So if you say something against any person who doesn't like what you say, the person can sue for damages or can sue, ask for maybe retraction and things like that. So those ones are there.
Okay, let me bring in my lady.
I think that when we say it's a do or die affair, I mean, it's the media that is just pushing that thought into the minds of people. Definitely, there's going to be verbal abuse. There's going to be people insulting and all that forms of things. But should we describe it as that? We've had several elections. We've peacefully handed over power to the next political party. So for me, as a journalist, I would think that we shouldn't classify it as a do or die affair, but rather, definitely, it's going to be tense.
But how do you assess the political temperature now?
It's building up.
Building up?
It's now building up.
Yeah, and I think it will get to a crescendo. But you know what? But I beg to differ a bit from what Gloria has said. Although in large measure, I agree with you. But what I do is, I don't think it's a media construction that is a do and die affair. The political actors themselves they are the active prime movers of this. They frame the elections. They frame the issues. They personalize attacks against others. If they put issues at the heart of the election, it will be a different thing. But if they personalize it and demonize others, that is a problem.
But lawyer, don't you think that, for example, if I go for an assignment, like in 2012, when Akufo said it's a do or die affair, I mean, the journalists, they
reported. Did he say that?
Did he say I'm just trying to all die be die. Yes, thank you. And I'm there reporting on such an issue. I have to censor what he's saying. When I come back to write my story, I must write the story such that all these things will not be captured, although people there heard it.
You know what? Just a quick one. I will not belabor it. I think that generally we must look at the media in terms of, how do you call it, what they really stand for in this country. We have the sensational media, the tabloids and things like that. So don't forget that the tabloids can pick anything that you see and then do what? And twist it. That's all I just want to say.
That's true.
Okay, but as a journalist, Gloria, how do you envisage the conduct of the political, actors, like, moving forward?
It's going to get worse.
Worse?
I mean, it happens all the time. Some will look at issues, others would try to play down on the issues. Yesterday, I was listening to a radio station, and there were two panelists, one from the NPP, one from the NDC. The lady from the NDC was bringing out the issues. The gentleman from the NPP was trying to, make past reference to what the lady was saying. And I liked what the lady said. She said, for me, I try to look at what is happening and what we can do for Ghana. We should try and move away from the insults, bringing past things that have been done that didn't help. And so we are now starting. NDC is going to launch its manifesto on Saturday. NPP will do the same. And then we are going to see what's going to happen. It's already started. One district, and someone is saying something else. So that's how it's going to start. And then you see, the problem starts with the supporters. They fuel these conflicts.
You see?
Yeah, okay. Is anyone wants to come in?
There's something in social psychology called groupthink. And I was even recently, before I come to that, let me give it a bit of a background. I was monitoring last week's events at Addo, when one of the radio stations in Accra organized a debate between the two, between the political party parliamentary candidates. And it's degenerated into violence. Yeah. And I understand a lady was even stabbed in the back. So I really wanted to get the facts of the matter. So I spoke with a journalist who was there to cover the program. And according to him, when the two candidates, from the two major political parties came there, they made it look obvious that there was so much tension. And they both threw verbal insults at each other. And I understand, even when they were going for the group photograph, one of them refused. So what message are you sending to the supporters? And there's something in social psychology called groupthink. When we behave, when our behavioral pattern is influenced or is determined by people around us. Exactly. So when your candidate, someone who you don't just follow, but someone who inspires you, behaves in a particular manner, what does it tell you? It's so obvious that we are at war, and that is not supposed to be the case. That is why I see the political actors as playing a very major role. It shouldn't be limited to them. We all have a role to play, the civil society organizations, media, everybody, even the market women. But the political actors have a very important role to play. They should not just append their signatures to documents. Saying we will not accept vigilante groups and we want peace to reign. Show commitment.
Yeah, but son, you know what?
But Odododi though is just but one of the constituencies. It's a hot spot.
Yeah,
we all
you know
know.
what? Exactly, and that is what I was going to point out. That
those
you
are the
see,
areas
when you do
problems.
an electoral mapping today, you come across areas which have been for a considerable period of time identified as flashpoints. In those areas, there is a perennial behavior he has described. It is something. I can predict. I can predict that 4 years' time, if we were to have and nothing were to bar any of the parties, stop them from the way they campaign and all those things, a repeat would always occur, because those areas have certain underlying problems. They are hostile to
the other party
coming inside, because sometimes they conceive of the area as a dominant place for them, in fact, like a property. So that is a issue.
Which I've also been following Odododi. Since '92, when Honorable Neo Kaja was selected, 2000 Honorable Reginald, but I think there are some underlying issues that goes beyond politics. Just as we had in other countries, from Kenya to Cote d'Ivoire to Sierra Leone to Liberia, the fact-finding teams that have been sent to those countries, I've always gotten to realize that it went way beyond politics. It had to do with youth unemployment. It had to do with the youth bulge. On an annual basis, you have thousands of youth completing universities and not having any job to do. And unfortunately, even on social media.
Sunny, one moment. Look, youth bulge is something spread across this country. You understand? Youth unemployment is not sequestrated and limited to your little constituency alone. So if you find a particular constituency for the last 20 years, having a perennial lifelong struggle with violence, I'm saying that
it will occur again.
It will occur again, and it's because somehow those kinds of areas conceive of themselves as this is our terrain, and we are not going to allow you.
And
so,
okay,
so,
and I
so
think
let's Sunny complete
No,
quickly
no,
his
no,
point so that
I'm getting to it.
Let's Sunny.
have a very
And I think
interesting.
exactly.
I know.
And I think the security protocols were not also
Maybe
followed.
also, I agree
Yes,
with you.
because I understand there were some few police persons on the ground.
But you were
Unfortunately,
supposed
they
to
weren't.
be-
They were not even armed.
Informed, or-
They were not armed.
You are not armed.
You know, and you know full well that this is
This
a
is
flashpoint.
Oh,
And
that's
when
what
you
I
bring
think it's just
those-
ideas,
when-
soliciting
So
ideas
lawyer
from,
is
so
saying,
I
like
think
lawyer
they
is
didn't
saying,
really.
There's
those are
been a
areas
consistent
you should,
pattern.
you should
There's
know
been
that.
a consistent pattern, and bringing these two major political parties together.
Like 2 atomic bombs.
I
You
mean, you
explode.
expect a reaction.
But how do you foresee, or how difficult or easy do you think the 2016 elections will be? You know, from my intro, looking at the fact that Nana is going for the 3rd time now, and perhaps the party wouldn't give him the chance again, and he's lost twice to the NDC. President Mahama has been in government invariably, let's say, for 8 years, because he was vice to the late President Atta Mills, and he became president due to his passing. But this is the case. He's also canvassing for votes. That look, ordinarily, I have been in office for 4 years, and as the status quo ante, every incumbent presidential candidate is given an 8-year mandate as far as Ghana is concerned. Let's take it that way. So if it's anything to go by, then obviously you have to give me another chance. And look at the 2012 election petition. It was another case. We all know what took us there. The NPP and the NDC. It is either one wins or one loses.
You see,
would it be that easy for the would it be that easy for the NPP, or would it be that easy for the NDC? If
well,
not, how difficult would it be for they both?
Okay, I'm not a scaremonger, but sometimes I have to bite the bullets, because it is in identifying your issues or your problems that you'll be able to solve them. And Mrs. Charlotte also said, I don't always agree with her on so many issues, but for once I've been tempted to agree with her hook, line, and sinker when she categorically said that the problem with this year's election is one party that feels it must not lose, and another party that feels it has to win. That is the problem with our politics, but that is not the way to go. And it is even more dicey and compelling, I must say, when we have a party that went to the courts to seek redress because they felt things didn't go the way they should, but it didn't go in their favor. And the former electoral commissioner drawing the battle lines that you must win, elections are won at the polling station. That statement is quite loaded, and people would use any means possible by hook or crook to win elections at the polling stations, and that is not the way to go. We must respect our democratic values. We must respect our democratic tenets. Also, with the NDC, it's not going to be easy, because this is the 2nd term, and they can't. I'm sure a lot of work has been done on the ground, and they would wish, like has been indicated by the president, to continue with some of the foundations that have been laid. But democracy is supposed to be a rule of the people, by the people, and for the people. But because of some issues related to what we call the zero-sum politics, where people feel it is either my party is in power or I'm finished, because of issues also related to corruption. Because I have personally heard of people applying for or bidding for contracts with even party cards in the future and present, and that is not the way to go. The government should be the government for all the people, but many people are forced to believe if their party is not in power, they cannot get contracts, they cannot get jobs. But I mean, that is not what democracy is about. Also, our democracy is also, I must inconveniently say, tilted on tribal lines, and that is one of the issues that should be looked at critically. And hate it or love it, our politics in Ghana is quite tribalistic, and it's not a good sign at all. Unfortunately, we have political parties that evolve around personalities, and these personalities belong to certain ethnic groups, and they become the vehicles to their ethnic groups. So politics is not seen as a debate on ideology or what the people have to offer, but to protect the person's identity, to make sure he protects his tribe by voting for that candidate who comes from that tribe. But I mean, that's not good.
Gloria, your take on it?
I think it will not be easy
At all?
I belong
For
to
both parties, right?
For both parties. I belong to a WhatsApp platform, and what goes on, sometimes I sit back and I'm like, this is going to be serious. It's so divided. NPP, NDC, they throw insults at each other. So you have people leaving the platform because they can't stand what goes on there.
Elites? Are they elites?
Very, very. And so I ask myself, if these are educated people, even doing this by text, imagine what the supporters are doing below us. It is scary. Everybody, like he's saying, we must win power at all cost. Because if we win power, one, there are certain favors that definitely you will get. Whether you like it or not, you would get it.
Like using a party card to get a contract?
Yes.
Okay.
And you see, it's not very nice being in opposition. I'm sure some of the NPP guys have lost some businesses or the other, and some money avenues have been closed.
But should this be the case?
Unfortunately, that is what it is in Africa. If you listen to Nigeria's president yesterday, he's saying he promised to change the attitude, not the economy. That is what he's saying today.
That's a difficult task, right?
Yeah,
but that's not what the people are expecting or they are looking for. Why do you want to change my attitude? I want money in my pocket, and that's what's important to me. And so definitely, NPP doesn't want to lose again. So the mistakes I'm sure they did in 2012, they are going to make sure that they correct all those mistakes. They are going to be very, very, very alert.
Exactly.
Very, very alert. And the NDC will also not sit down just like that. They will also ensure that they also do the right things and that victory is theirs.
Lawyer?
Yeah, my take on it. I mean, basically, I think that for me, it's the winner-take-all phenomena in our country, which is at the root of all these vexatious tensions that are embedded in our political life. If I win, imagine that you have a family where you elect somebody to be your family head or and the moment he becomes family head, it means automatically or implicitly some 45%
of the family has set below.
No. I mean, they've lost. A certain 45% are going to be in Siberia. They will be in the cold for a very long time. Because a lot of the appointment, if you look at the nature of the structuring of our executive, it's one-sided.
Yeah.
They can do so much, you understand, politically, economically, and socially, and all those things. So it makes it a very tense kind of situation. Now, you've actually correctly said that, how do you call it, President Mahama, for instance, is gearing for another term. Of course, the Constitution grants him the liberty to go for a term, and he's going for the term. I'm saying that it gives him the liberty. Yes, but it's not automatic. The issue, that's what I was coming to pick up. It's not automatic, and she's right. Gloria is right. We shouldn't make presidency look automatic in this country. You understand? Because the moment we can't get into that kind of frame, we stop thinking. We must be issue-based and begin to look at things like the economy, jobs, health, education. A lot of people will be thinking about the political issues and the insults and all those things. But I think, and particularly the media, has a big role to play in ensuring that these are frontal issues, both for the opposition and also for the government. So I think that they will be fighting hard on this. I mean, we are yet to see what the NDC manifesto and the NPP manifesto really look like. You understand? And then perhaps make some kind of judgment out of that.
And I think the media has a very critical role. Unfortunately, it is quite limited somewhat, because you have many media organizations that are owned by political figureheads, and it makes their work quite difficult. But we have some code of ethics, we have some fundamental principles that media organizations and media personalities are supposed to abide by. But because of the editorial policy, it sometimes becomes very difficult, not just in this part of our world, all over the world. I mean, we all know for a fact that Fox News is right-wing, and we have other ones that are left-wing, but to a very large extent, they try as much as they can to ensure fairness to the best of their ability. But in this case, we have some media some media organizations that see everything good about one party and everything bad about the other party, and that is not the way to go, because the media, like has been opined by Malcolm X, is the most powerful entity. It has the power to make the innocent guilty and the guilty innocent, and that is real power. So my dear Rebecca, you cannot underestimate the power of this seat, and you just don't educate people out there, but you inspire them. So whatever you say here, I mean, if you ask people to go kill themselves or to go perpetrate any act of illegality, you will be amazed by the number of people who would adhere to that call. So, I mean, it should be looked at critically, and media personalities would have to exercise some level of decorum and some level of professionalism in the discharge of their duties.
But should the two leading parties see this election as a make or break contest? Because
what is at the presidency anymore?
There is something. If there's nothing, then I guess then previous governments wouldn't have been canvassing for votes all this while, and it's the turn of President Mahama to do so again for another term.
But Becky, you see, I mean, I'm a bit surprised that you are asking a question whether you ought to see it as a do or die affair. It's already a do or die affair for them. The point is that, let me give you, whether fortunately or unfortunately, it is. In the sense that, like I've said, you have 275 seats for grabs. So if you are saying it's not a do and die affair, some people will not understand you. There are 275 seats that affects public policy. And so that is something to be grabbed. Number two, you also have political patronage. Ambassadorial positions, ministerial positions, municipal chief executive, district chief executive, communini, and all this kind of stuff. So there's so much at stake. If your party wins, perhaps you'll be made a minister for information. For you. So why wouldn't it be a do or die affair for you? But let me give you an example. But let me give you a typical example, Sonny. Look, as I'm saying that if it will not be a do or die affair if you have a system that is not based on a winner take all. What it will mean then is that you don't even mind which party wins. The best people should win, and the best people will come for you.
But how about the issue of sabotage? Because if there is no, what I call it, the winner takes all, and there is power sharing. And for instance, Sunny is with the NPP, Gloria is with the CPP, I am with the NDC, you are with GCPP or something, and I win power. And now I bring on board Gloria, who is a CPP member. Gloria do not understand how I want to bring out my policies, how I want them to be. So
the party's interest
at heart. So where comes in sabotage?
This could be another debate for another day.
I know.
There are some psychologists who believe the most loyal friend is the enemy turned friend. Even in World War II, we had the Germans sending some spies to Britain to give them some coordinates where to land their bombs. But when the British realized their activities and they arrested, instead of summarily executing them, they made them their friends, and they made them continually communicate with the Germans by giving them the wrong coordinates. And they were the most loyal people. When you read the history of NASA, I mean, the person who...
Okay, exactly. I hear Gloria saying this is Africa.
The one who played an instrumental role in the 1950s on the first mission, it's not American.
But you know...
Okay, but you see,
listen,
look, it should be based on qualification and your ability to deliver. That is why I have so much respect for ex-President Akufo, who called on Pakwesi Indum to serve the government. So, and that is the way to go.
So you know what? Let me. I'm a lawyer. Let me refer to our constitution. I think that our constitution enshrines power sharing. In fact, I find it difficult to understand people. I think it's a nomenclature and the association with that nomenclature, power sharing. That is what is driving people a bit nuts. Look, the constitution shares, we have a presidential system that is representative, a representative presidential system, but that is actually based on a shared power between the executive, legislature, and the judiciary. So as a background to democratic rule, we have a constitution that splits power, unlike a monarchical system where power is fused, you understand, or centralized. So I don't see any problem. Now, number two, the point is that the issue about somebody was spy on the party, or maybe they might have sabotage the party and all those ones. When appointments are being given, they vet the people, even your own party. Christ collected 12 gentlemen.
But who does the vetting?
I'm coming one moment.
Okay.
You can have the sabotage even among your own members. You can have even party faithfuls who turn and rather criticize adversely the party for good and for bad.
Okay.
Now, let me give you a typical example. Maybe you say it's foreign, but we can drive it home. He mentioned, how do you call the Papu Syndrome issue? I mean, Obama came, and America was faced with a catastrophic war, 2 wars. And then they realized that Robert Gates, who was the appointee of the Republicans, he was an astute person to lead America. They put partisan considerations aside and put down the objectives and the goals to be achieved.
You're qualified.
Ghana is in, how do you call it? We are in a tense crisis. We have problems of energy. We have problems of jobs. We have problems with health. We have problems of education. We have problems, monumental problems with sanitation and things like that. And you need across board all the talent that you can harness to become a Busuapenyi and decide that the entire group, that's for these people, we cannot pick something from anybody from them. I think it's a disservice to your own country. Number two, look back at our constitution. If our constitution wanted us to be so extremely partisan, it would have said so. Okay. It says that you pick a majority of your ministers from parliament. It doesn't say pick it from your political parties. Okay. You understand? And so you can pick outside.
Okay, we'll come back to talk more about the power sharing. It is still the Reporters Roundtable here in the studios of GBC24. Remember, you can join us via text on 02444 75422. Send me a message on our Facebook wall, Reporters Roundtable, or like our page as well. You can also send me an email right here on the show on reportersroundtable@gmail.com. Let me remind you that my attire is provided by Ashrifia, where find them near the Adentan Goil Filling Station. The health needs of my guests and myself is also supported by HealthWorks Ghana. We'll be back shortly. Do stay with us. Provides viewers with in-depth examination of issues reported on leading media outlets across the world. A lively panel of journalists with comprehensive knowledge in all fields of endeavor, be it politics, health, business, sports, entertainment, information, communication technology, gender, law, international affairs and diplomacy, and a host of others will objectively dissect the matter of contention. On Reporters Roundtable, fairness, objectivity, factuality, and non-partisanship is our hallmark. It's the Double RT Show with Rebecca Ewa. This and every other Thursday from 10 to 12 GMT. Make a date with us. The Reporters Roundtable, all angles, all sides. Right, so welcome back to the show. Before we went on the break, if you just joined us, we're talking about power sharing, which of course we need to embrace in our democracy. And the topic for discussion is the 2016 election. Is it a do or die affair? I earlier indicated that you can join us via text. It's on your screens. You can also send us a message on our Facebook wall. You can also find same on our screens. Let's talk about power sharing again. Let me find out from Gloria, because you have been quiet for quite a long time. Would you say that an all-inclusive government would be an easy embrace for us as a country, considering where we have gotten to in our democratic dispensation?
Not at all. It's a good idea. but it will not be easy for us to accept it, both from the ruling party in power and the party in opposition. The president has to be firm to decide that I'm going to pick this person to look into energy, to take care of things that are going wrong there, even when the party members do not agree. He's a president. The lawyer said he's a president, and he has the power to do whatever he wants to. It's not going to be easy at all, but it is said that a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. And so if we start like that, President Akufo did it. Let's hope that President Mahama might consider the option of doing that, because I'm sure there are people in the NPP who have ideas, very good ideas, to solve most of the challenges we are facing, the energy crisis, for example. And if they are brought on board, some of these problems can be solved. But it is not going to be easy.
Yeah,
it is not going to be easy at all.
Sunny, but
even from the supporters, the supporters will not understand why a president should go and pick somebody from outside the party. What has the person contributed? And that's what they look at. What has he contributed?
But
when we're going on the campaign, that is what.
That is a problem.
Yeah. When we're going on the campaign, what did you do? Did you buy a car? Did you buy water? What did you do to support?
Did you make that noise?
Did you
share
of
the
course.
Yes,
of course.
did
Did they
trail?
So
Cheering
issues of betrayal and all
exactly.
that.
This boils down
Sonny,
to
shouldn't we look rather at the quality and the competence of the person or the people involved, rather than tagging them with a political, let's say, quote or identity?
When we look at our system, we seem to glorify certificates a lot. I mean, I can't completely bastardize the idea that it does matter sometimes, because you need people with the requisite expertise to be able to perform well in certain areas, but it should go beyond that. We should look at it holistically. The competence of the person, the person's commitment to the person's integrity, and a whole lot should go into consideration. Unfortunately, politics here is seen as a career and an easy means to make money. I mean, which shouldn't be so. When you go to the nitty-gritties of democracy, the nitty-gritties is supposed to be the rule of the people, oblivion of whichever political affiliation you come from. But unfortunately, we see all-inclusiveness as punishment. It reminds me of what happened in 2008 with the crisis in Kenya between the ruling party, People's National Union of Mwai Kibaki, and the opposition, the Orange Democratic Movement of Raila Odinga. In the end, when Kofi Annan, the former Secretary General of the UN, went to mediate, they had to come together to form a power-sharing government. They saw it as a punishment, but that is how democracy is supposed to be. We can talk of countries such as Zimbabwe. We've had similar issues there, and we see it as more of a detriment when it should be an advantage. So, I mean, a democracy, like I said before, is a rule of the people, by the people, and of the people, and is supposed to be so. Even we have people who belong to your party who, in the end, sabotage you. So it's not just outsiders who sabotage. Once you are in a position of responsibility, you would have to abide by the tenets. You would have to respect the sanctity of that seat by doing the right thing.
Yeah, and Sunny, to add to that one, you know what? We must reflect on what also Gloria said. A lot of well-meaning Ghanaians who know what they are talking about have suggested that with a quagmire that we developing countries, but for instance Ghana and other countries face, an inclusive type of system is better in our favor than out. I can mention Kofi Annan to you, who has consistently advocated. Kofi Annan is one of the best human beings our country has ever provided the entire world, and he has said it. But these people's words have fallen onto, I don't know where it's fallen onto. You've had people, the IEA has brought this sense up, not only those think tanks, other think tanks have suggested the same thing. In a Western democracies that we mimic and copy every day, like the British system, the American system, they practice all inclusivity. And so if we remove that element of democratic governance, democracy, one of the pillars of democracy is inclusiveness, participation.
Yeah.
What we are doing is that we are practicing a democracy and minusing one of the elemental issues in a democracy, which is inclusiveness.
It's largely because of how our politics is
right.
managed. We pay more attention to the supporters and what they want. It's good. But sometimes it shouldn't take key center stage. If you look at Trump and Clinton fainted. Look at the way it was handled. Come to Ghana, President Atta Mills, when he was sick. Even before that, look at how the parties handled that
politics
issue.
that went into it.
Yes.
But I think that we are beautifying a bad example, honestly. Because I think that, how do you call it, in the United States it's far worse. It's a more criminous thing that they're doing there.
No,
today.
but there are some.
He's kept quiet. Trump has kept quiet. Trump has kept quiet.
Ones we can adopt.
Yeah, we can adapt those ones. But the Trump example needs a bit of polishing because Trump has been washed and bathed. That's why he has kept quiet. But in fact, Gloria, sincerely, if this country next year will be 70 years. And if at 70 we are not far wiser than we were before, I regret being a citizen.
Ghana 70.
You know,
Ghana
it boils down to perceptions. I mean, even exactly. Even there's been some debate around the civil service, the fact that people are not so very committed to their work. Even though we have some very committed people there, we talk about Ghana time. I don't even know where it came from. Late for events and all that. So you see, it's a generational shift. This is not something we can solve today, but the foundations need to be laid.
Yeah. But you know, we normally talk about government. I also think that across board, the opposition, let me also talk about that aspect. Because it will be difficult to bring on board those who are virulently against you. Sometimes there's a difficulty there. So there must be a buffer where you have partisanship, but you must also have space for multi-partisanship and bipartisanship. The examples that we draw from those other countries are examples of bipartisanship or multi-partisanship, where they go beyond simply, but you still have their base. So let's be political, but let's not be extremely too partisan.
But do you foresee a situation where in the no distant future, Ghana would adopt your inclusive kind of system, more especially because it's captured by our constitution, and I suppose every president wants to go by the tenets of what is, would I say, the legal framework that guides the country, so to say.
Yes, and I can tell you without equivocation that one, I believe that we are getting to a greater crisis than we are even seeing. And the time will come when Ghanaians will sit up at the table and realize that we need each other. At that point, it will be easier for us for NDC, MPP, CPP, WPP, and all those other parties, you understand, to sit at the table. I think that what must happen, like I said, if they must be partisan to understand where they stand, but they must have national interest that can bring people, whether NDC or MPP, to a certain table. Not only football. Yes. When it's football, we put aside partisanship. We must, when we have energy crisis, I'm looking for a day, and I think that day will arrive where we'll realize our folly and our failure as a country. You understand? And even the grassroots supporters will start calling certain names. There are some people in the NDC who win praise from the NPP. I remember Nyoma Donko when he was health minister. It was across board. There are people who play their life out for a national purpose. Like for instance,
and that should be the
one of the things. And I'm sure those guys are coming.
And another example is Honorable Setekpe, the finance minister. Exactly, because I've personally heard party faithfuls, not so very happy with him because, but that notwithstanding, we have some of his kind, of course, in the system who play their role very neutral. They are there to deliver, and that is what they are supposed to do. But you see, like I said, it's perceptions, and the foundation would have to be laid, and the political party heads have a very crucial role to play in that. Communicators, they have a crucial role to play. Why don't we set an example? Why don't we have the president appointing some personalities from other political parties he feels would
but some work must be done. Some work must be done.
Lot of work.
Gloria, what you said was right. The point is that if you didn't contribute to the campaign success and you are criticizing,
why should you benefit?
Why should you benefit will be there? But the point is that gradually, our leaders must set the right tone for us. They must communicate in clear terms that there are good people on the other side of the river. You understand? They must set that. And then those who, for instance, so whether you are in opposition or not, I'm sure we must begin to appreciate good things and say they are good. And if they are bad things, emphatically say they are bad. And the people in the
middle.
middle.
Why I want to say that Joyce Bauer, yes, she spoke nicely, and I just love that woman.
She's one of
she
the
refused to attack the other party. She said, I want to focus on the issues. What are we doing? How is it going to benefit the people? And that should be the focus of all the communicators. Not that it is your party that caused this problem.
It's a problem.
But how about the role of stakeholders?
Civil society organizations. We all have a role to play. I mean, we belong to WhatsApp groups. We comment on social media. We are on TV analyzing a whole lot. I mean, it should be an educational drive. We should educate the people on the need for us to have all inclusiveness as a prerequisite to a solid democracy. Unfortunately, in Ghana, we seem to also glorify lies. I mean, sometimes as an analyst, when I descend on a particular party, you have them coming after me, and I descend on the other party, they think I belong to the other. And I mean, some of the comments I even go to read. Like I said the other day, I had someone call to tell me, I mean, she couldn't stand the level of insults against my personality, but I told her to take it easy. It is very normal and it's a job hazard. When I went to see the comments, they were very abusive. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to pinpoint exactly what the problem is, like factual inaccuracies in my submission. It was all about where I earned my certificates from, or what I'm wearing, or how I look.
Have to their party.
You see, that is the problem.
But son, you know what? The point is that, you see, in every society, the die-hard elements are there.
Yes.
The United States that we talk about.
Say what is good
there
or
are
bad.
those who we call the right wing. The right wing, who hate blacks. They have an antipathy for blacks. They don't see any good thing out of them. Even Donald Trump is the best example of a bigot who can say anything and get away with against women and everybody. So what I want to say to in support of what you have actually said is that the media, you should educate people about two things. One, to ignore those people who spend most of their time on bigotries and prejudicial statements and all, and then personal attacks, and focus on the issues. Which means then that number two, you yourself should be fully aware of those issues and should be driving the debate on the issues. You should be driving that debate. If you leave it for our hawkish politicians, they will drive us into a ditch. So please do that.
Unfortunately, negativity sells. I spoke
know,
with the owner of a TV station where it is very recurrent to have these juju men coming to tell people to stop work and come to them, and they will double their money. I spoke to him. I told him, look, it is destroying your brand. You shouldn't entertain such people. And he said that's the only source of income. That is how they make their money.
But you know what? The point is that, but Sunny, the dominant, look, in our society, we know the dominant media. And what I'm saying is that the journalists out there should do their job.
Right, but Gloria, as a journalist, aside being conspicuously circumspect about our political reportage, what more can we do to calm the waters in a situation where tensions are that high? Because the political, would I say, the campaign trail is heating up, and we have barely 82 days. To go into election 2016. What more can we do?
I think that as journalists, we should show the friendly side, the relationship that exists between personalities of the NDC and the NPP when they are not on the campaign stage. They eat together. They are friends. We should show that more and let the supporters who are likely to incite violence know that this person you are doing this for, he goes to this person's house. They are free. They eat together. It is not worth it. If we do that more, I saw a picture in one of the papers, Alban Bagbin and Oseche Mensah. They had their hands around each other and they were laughing.
They have sports they meet.
Yes.
To talk,
Yes, we should highlight those more, and not when they are insulting each other. that will not help us. I think that the Media Foundation is also doing something good.
Yeah.
It has brought down the level of insult compared to 2012. You don't hear so much of the insult. Now people are more careful as to what they are saying because they don't want to be listed as being on top of the list of people who use abusive languages. If we don't listen to them, if we don't pay attention to them, they will stop.
I know one politician, I'm sure if you meet him and slap him, he will turn the other cheek for you to slap. He doesn't speak much. But trust me, if he climbs the political podium, he becomes a different human being
It's
altogether.
like a spirit.
Sometimes, sometimes they want to appeal to the people. Like I always indicate and cite Donald Trump as an example. He's appealing to a particular class of people who are nationalistic in nature. All over the world, not just limited to Ghana, even in Israel, we have nationalists. They believe in only Israel for only Israelis. In Germany, all over. And one of them even killed Isaac Rabin, former prime minister of Israel, because he signed a peace agreement with the Palestinians. So, you know, we have such characters in every part of the world, including Ghana. But it is high time we set an example. We shouldn't play by the whims and caprices of our supporters, because that is not what democracy is about, and it's very inconsistent. And I must also add to what you said with regard to the findings of Media Foundation for West Africa. Since January this year, they've been publishing the list, and it's worked to a very large extent. And I've always contended that if we had worked with their findings to the letter, we wouldn't have had this case involving the Muntie 3. So, I mean, their findings should be taken very much into consideration by even our security agencies.
Right. Role of the media, anything to add?
Oh, I think I've said a lot about what the media should do. I've said two things.
But then,
know the issues and drive the issues. But the other issue that he has made mention of, which is also very useful to remember, is the radicals. We must remember that there are radicals in the party, and that the radicals always want to set that type of agenda. They want a polarized society, because a polarized society is good. A polarized society brings all the jobs, all the money, all the influences into only one hands, and they enjoy it that way. For instance, I mean, he mentioned the US society. Those who are radical and right-wing and white want the white base to be strong. They don't want it to be diminished. They think that if you open up and you are inclusive, then it will be diminishing. They are doing an economics. So they are very economical. So what we should be also doing is that for those who believe that that type of radical politics that is polarizing, winner takes all agenda, and that impoverishes the country when it comes to talent search, we should also up our voices. And we need the media to also do that kind of thing. Because I believe that this type of damaging policies that we are is going nowhere. And we must come to a crossroad where all the parties accept that you cannot change Ghana on your own. The NDC manifesto, the NPP manifesto, PPP manifesto alone cannot change Ghana. You need Ghanaians, and so wherever they are, it must be. But my difficulty sometimes is, like she rightly painted, the supporters.
The supporters.
How do you handle supporter anguish when
considering
you are
the fact that it's a fierce battle?
Yes.
Should we worry or worry not about what supporters say, what they are because for them, all they want is for my party to win.
You see, that is
what
why
language should we be speaking to these people?
That is why civil society organizations like Star Ghana and the rest, they have a very important role to play in that respect. And they should embark on rigorous education. People would have to understand that politics, like we always say, is not a do or die affair, and it's about all inclusiveness, and that is one of the major foundations of the democracy in which we are in, and that is why we are enjoying the economic boom we are. So a lot of education would have to be done. The media, they have an important role to play, and political parties. You don't have, because one of the candidates some time ago said something that was very unsavory and that was very unfortunate. Then I asked one of the executives, why did your candidate say it? And he was like, okay, our supporters at a particular point in time, they were harassed, they were intimidated, and they were not happy. So they needed the candidate to come and tell them, okay, fine, if you want war, we have war for you.
Yeah, but you know,
and you know, it's unfortunate that the supporters who are hurt, who are injured. Some of them are not even card-bearing members.
You're right.
They just love the party. They are fanatics and they would die for the party. They don't even have cards that show that.
Gloria, you know
The
what?
way you're saying it, you know what is ringing in my
What is
ears?
that?
Like Accra has of hope. You would die for the party.
Gloria, but you know what?
For the club.
If we begin to see a seismic shift, a change of political culture among the dominant two, this will become reality.
Yeah.
If we see, is it possible that one day the NPP might take somebody who is really good within the NDC and he would sit, and vice versa? Will we see another day where that some of the, he's talking about common influences.
Yeah.
These are some, so it doesn't become like, oh, after all, if they are if so and so is in power, we have lost our totally. We have to fight and make sure that they never, you know. So,
but you mentioned one word I'm very interested in, culture. It's a political culture, and it's very entrenched.
culture, culture is dynamic.
And shifting
culture
is not, but it's not as easy as we say.
I agree.
It needs time. It needs lots
It
of
needs time,
strategy, and the foundations will have to be laid now.
Yeah.
But I believe it will happen in our lifetime.
So, lawyer, let's
Hopefully.
hold on
Inshallah.
quickly. Let's take some thought from our viewers quickly. This one says, my name is Yakubu from Medina. We will...
Go to the next.
Wow, your message is really not clear. Yeah, sure. If you could send it again. When Ghana is talking about war, they should know that Nigeria is full up. No chance for fixed. If not Nigeria, where else? It's a French country. I guess what you're trying to say is that our neighboring countries, there is war all over, so we should try as much as possible not to repeat that. And this is from Marcel from Kasoa. This one says, my name is Pastor E.A. Labi. I am enjoying your discussion very much. The way you approach matters, keep it up. God bless you. Thank you very much, Pastor. This one says, please ask the lawyer to respect us viewers by ceasing his endless interruptions. Right, but you didn't add your name, right? Right, we respect you, dear.
That's his opinion.
Yeah, it's your opinion. This one says, please ask the... Wow, another one. Okay, let's take this one. This one says, my name is Yakubu from Medina. Yakubu, you... Instead of sending your message back, you sent us our number instead, so take note. Good morning, Gloria. Please, I want to remind your panel that it's not only President Akufo who appointed a minister outside his party. The late President Mills had done it, and JM is doing same. Please set the record straight. From Boateng, Asokwa, Kumasi. Okay, noted. So, who did the late President Mills appoint? And who is in this government who is also coming from the other political divide? Maybe you can help us.
You can mention Atuguba.
Oh, Atuguba stopped halfway. Oh.
Well, but he was appointed.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. This one says, my name is Ampofo for Swampofo, Community 2. Oh, Ibrahim, Community 2. I think both candidates in Tema are doing well, but there's a problem with their members. For Carlos, followers of Natoshi are against him, and for lawyer Enu, followers of Ovoswan Pofu are angry with him. So both candidates have in-house problems. I guess it was on our earlier video concerning the Tema West constituency, lawyer James Enu and Carlos Ahinkra. That's fine. We'll welcome more of your views, but let me remind you that this show is supported by Health West Ghana. You'll find them near the Islamic University in Adrin, Ghana, taking care of our health needs. Please, I always do say that we do well to visit Health Works because they are in for you. They want to massage you and take you or distress you. Yeah, you have to go there. Again, my attire is provided by Ashrifia, where yes, I rock Ashrifia, and you can find them near the Goy filling station in Adentan. Let's quickly touch on security issues. You mentioned Odo as one flashpoint. Quickly, then we zoom in straight to touch on President Mahama's the highlights of the NDC manifesto. Then we haven't heard of that of MPP, but we are yet to see it. So Security. Do
Okay,
we have? Does it matter at all?
Yeah, it does. It does matter.
If it's a do or die affair, then
yeah, it does. It does to a very large extent. Like I indicated, in 2012 there was a UN panel on security in West Africa. They met to in the run-up, I mean, to the violence in Ivory Coast, to identify some early warning signals to look out for, and those early warning signals should be taken into consideration to forestall any act of violence, because I mean conflicts cannot be solved. I said that the last time I was here. They can be managed, but the best way to avoid all that, with the cost involved with managing conflicts, with the human lives that has been lost already, is to prevent it from happening by identifying some of these issues. And though the issues are quite noticeable in our system. It has to do with the youth unemployment, and we also have serious issues with corruption and the inability of state institutions to work. But you see, the problem is, for every system to work, we have three major things that should be taken into consideration. The first are the institutions, and we have the institutions. We have the police service, we have the BNI, we have civil society organizations, we have the ministries, and a whole lot. Then we have the processes, and that is where lawyer comes in here. The laws, the acts, the legislative instruments that the institutions are supposed to use to work. And we have the third component, which is perhaps the most important, which is the people. But when the people are influenced or compromised, it affects the other two components, the institutions and of course the processes. So the people have a very important role to play. Organizations such as the Electoral Commission, they should work more, and I think so far they have done so well with an effective and efficient complaint addressing system. By so doing, you get everybody involved, you get all the political parties involved, so everybody gets to understand that yes, indeed, my voice is heard. The security agencies, they also have a very crucial role to play. I've always contended that the police service is 32,000, the manpower base. That means the police cannot be everywhere all the time, because we are a population of 27 million. That means for each police officer services about 780 Ghanaians. That is woefully inadequate. That is why the police service needs the community members in which they operate, to cooperate with them, so they complement their roles. By so doing, you get the communities even giving information to the police and handing over criminal elements to the police. But when you have that mistrust, that loss in confidence between the police setup and that is where people feel, oh, I have to protect myself by going for a gun. I have to protect myself by attacking someone in a preemptive manner. But that is not the way to go. They have a very critical role to play in that regard.
Right, Gloria, touch on it briefly. I can see, lawyer, you have a book on security.
Yeah, that's right.
Law, security management and investigations. But I'll come to you shortly. Let me take the thought of Gloria. Then I see here that security is a contested concept. I don't know what you would have to say about that, but let Gloria come in here. Security issues, are they of prime concern?
They are, and already the Ghana Police Service have formed a committee of all the various security agencies. They've started education on what one must do during and after the elections. So what they do is that they go to a place like Circle, where there's a lot of people, and they stage a play. Then after that, they do an education on what you must do during the day of voting. Again, things that cause some violence. In 2012, there was a little bit delay in announcing the winner, because most of the NPP thought there was a problem, and so the EC had to go into a meeting. People had gathered at the EC office. All these things must be checked. So the mistakes we made in 2012 that caused slight problems must be checked. Flashpoints, there are so many of them. I know the police have identified these ones and they are working on it. They must be more serious about it. And like Ododio, they should have gone there with more security, because like he said, it's already a place we know that no matter what happens, even if it's a party, there's likely to be violence. And so Such things must be looked at. But indeed, security is very important.
Intelligence gathering.
Okay, finally with lawyer.
So maybe what I'll just say is that I think that there is a national election security architecture in place that runs from a national level, a regional level, a district level, and so on and so forth. So what we hope is that we should have neutrality when it comes to security. Provide security for Ghanaian voters, provide security for the entire election. That is it.
Okay, I wanted us to touch briefly on the highlights of the manifesto of President Mahama, but unfortunately we've been caught by time and we cannot discuss it. Hopefully, I know I will have you on another platform again. My name is Rebecca Ewa, and we have been discussing election 2016, whether it is a do or die affair. Just know that Mother Ghana needs you alive. You need not sacrifice your life for any politician. After all, from what we've heard from here, they eat and they talk and they laugh and they play at the background. How about you? Would you want to die for people who are close parties? Remember, Ghana needs you alive. It has been the Reporters Roundtable. My dress was provided by Ashrifia, where Health Needs by Health West Ghana. The show has been produced by Max Sesu, Phyllis Kofi, and Celestine Avi. My name is Rebecca Ewa once again. I love you all. Stay blessed.